Most of what people put on a wound does nothing. Some of it helps a little, and a few of the oldest things people still reach for will kill you. Not the wound, the thing you put on it. I am going to give you today the handful of things that genuinely work on a small wound, all of which you likely have in your house. And I am going to be just as careful to tell you which of the old practices you must never, ever use. Because some of them are still passed around as wisdom, and they put people in the ground. If you only remember one thing from all of this, let it be the warning. But you will remember more, because the things that work are simple and they are good. I should tell you who is speaking. My people are the Samburu, in the dry north of Kenya, where a clinic can be half a day's walk, and a small cut left to go bad is not a small thing at all. So we learned wound care the way you only learn it when there is no doctor down the road. Carefully, by watching what healed and what killed, over more years than anyone can count. And here is the first thing that learning taught us, the thing everything else hangs on. Your body heals the wound. Not the honey, not the salve, not me. The skin knits itself. That is what living flesh does. Your only job, and the wound's only enemy, is the dirt and the tiny living things, the bacteria, that get into it and multiply and turn a healing cut into a poisoned one. So everything good you can do comes down to two simple aims. Keep the bad things out, and do not, with your own hands, put bad things in. Half the folk remedies in the world failed the second test, and that is where people get hurt. So let me start where every wound must start, before any honey or salve. And it is the step people are most impatient to skip. Cleaning. A wound that is not clean cannot be helped by anything you put over it. You will only be sealing the dirt inside. So the very first thing, always, is to rinse the wound out with clean water. Plenty of it, poured or run over the wound until anything loose in it is washed away. Clean water is the foundation, and there is no remedy that replaces it. Now my people, like many who live by their animals, have long used salt for this. A little clean salt dissolved in clean water, used to wash a wound, because salt in water is unfriendly to the bacteria and helps clean the surface. It is the same salt water your own body weeps when it cries, near enough, so it does not savage the flesh the way harsh things do. A wash of clean salt water is a good, gentle, honest cleaning. But hear the order of it. Clean first, with water, always, before anything else touches that wound. Skip nothing here. Now once the wound is clean, the simplest and best proven thing you can lay on a small one is honey. I have spoken before of why honey works. It is so thick with sugar that it pulls the water out of bacteria and starves them. The same reason honey itself never spoils, and it keeps the wound in that gentle, moist, protected state where new skin crosses fastest, without sticking and tearing when you lift the dressing. This is not only a village memory. The real hospitals use honey dressings on their worst sores, and they work. But I must be honest with you about one thing, more honest than I have been, because it matters. The honey the hospitals use is specially cleaned and sterile, and the jar in your kitchen is not. For a small, shallow, clean scrape or cut, raw honey spread thin and covered with a clean cloth is a fine and good thing, and people have used it so for thousands of years. But it is not a sterile hospital dressing, and it does not turn a serious wound into a small one. Use it for what it is, a good cover for a small clean hurt, and use raw, thick, cloudy honey if you can, not the thin clear kind, because the gentle processing of the clear kind weakens the very thing that heals. For a wound that weeps more, or a deeper graze that honey runs off of, my people and many others reach for something that surprises people when they first hear it. Plain sugar. Not as a sweetener, as medicine. Sugar does to bacteria exactly what honey does, by the very same thirst, and because it is dry and solid, it can be packed into a wound that is too wet for honey to cling to. This too is no mere folk tale. Sugar has been packed into deep infected wounds in real hospitals by real nurses, and the bad smell and the weeping begin begin to fall away within a day or two as the sugar starves what is growing there. The way we make it hold is to work clean white sugar together with a little clean rendered fat, the fat of a clean animal or any clean grease, into a thick paste, the way you might work flour and water, until it is like a soft clay. That paste stays on the wound where loose grains would fall away, and it keeps the wound's surface too thirsty for bacteria to live in. Clean the wound, pack or spread the sugar paste, cover with a clean cloth, and change it once or twice a day, washing gently and laying on fresh each time. A thing from your sugar bowl, doing the work of a costly tube. Now I will give you the one that almost no one outside the old way still knows, and it is my favorite, because the tree teaches it to you itself. Have you ever seen where a branch has broken from a pine or a spruce, and a bit of sticky resin has welled up over the wound in the bark and hardened there, sealing it? The tree is dressing its own wound. It pulls that resin over the broken place to keep the rot and the insects out while the wood beneath heals. And that same resin, it turns out, does the same kindness for our skin. People in the cold forest lands have made a salve from it for as long as there have been people in those forests. And, this is the part that astonishes, when the careful men with microscopes tested it, they found it stops the growth of bacteria, even some of the stubborn ones that shrug off modern medicines. To make it, you gather the hardened resin from a wounded conifer, pine, or better still, spruce, and you warm it gently together with clean fat or oil and a little beeswax if you have it, until it melts and mixes into a smooth salve, and you let it cool to a firm ointment. Strain clean, it keeps a long time in a small pot. Spread thin over a clean small wound, it both guards against the bacteria and seals the wound under a soft protective skin, much as it sealed the tree. It has another old use too. Its drawing pull helps coax out a splinter or a thorn that has lodged shallow. The forest peoples were not wrong, and the science has caught them up. For a burn, and I mean a small shallow burn, the kitchen kind, the brush against the hot pot, nothing more, there is the cool flesh of the thick-leaved plants, the ones your people may call aloe, that grow as fat green spears full of clear gel. Snap one, and the cool slippery gel inside is laid straight on the small burn or the raw scrape, and it soothes the heat and the sting and keeps the place moist and calm while it heals. We have plants like it in our dry country, and nearly every hot land has its own, because a people living under a hard sun finds the plant that cools a burn soon enough. It is gentle, it is cooling, and for the small burn it is genuinely good. For anything more than a small shallow burn, a burn that blisters wide, that is deep, that is on a child's face or hand or anywhere large, that is a doctor's matter, and the cool gel is not enough, and I will come to that. And for the small stings, the scrapes, the bites of the biting flies, there is the low broad-leaved weed that grows in every trodden place in the world, the one many call plantain, not the banana, the flat-leaved weed underfoot. You crush or chew a clean leaf to a green pulp and lay it on the sting or the small scrape, and it eases the swelling and the itch and lends its own mild kindness to the skin. It is the humblest medicine I will give you, growing free in the cracks of every path, and for the small things it has served ordinary people forever. So that is the whole of what works. Clean water and salt to wash, honey to cover a small clean cut, sugar paste for the wetter wound, resin salve for the guarding seal, cool aloe gel for the small burn, crushed plantain for the sting. Simple, cheap, mostly already in your house or growing by your door. But now I keep the promise I made you at the very start, and I tell you the things you must never do, because they'll still pass from mouth to mouth as old wisdom, and they are the old ways that the old ways themselves learn to fear. Never pack mud or soil or clay into an open wound. Hear me on this one above all the others. I know it is an old picture, the poultice of mud, the handful of earth pressed onto a cut in the field. It is in old stories from every land, and it is one of the surest ways to die that I know. The soil, the mud, the dust of the ground carries within it the seeds of lockjaw, the sickness that locks a person's jaw, and then their whole body in agony until they cannot breathe, and the rot that turns a limb black and must be cut away to save a life. These things live in the earth, and a wound is the door you would be opening for them. We do not put the ground into the body. Not mud, not clay, not the dust of the floor. If a wound has earth in it, you are washing earth out with clean water, not packing more in. This is not caution. This is the line between living and dying. And the old people who survived to be old were the ones who knew it. Never pack wood ash or the ashes of the fire into an open wound either, though you will hear of it. Ash is harsh. It burns the raw flesh in its own slow way, and the ash of a fire is not clean. It carries its own filth into the open place. It does harm where you meant good. The same for the burnt charcoal of the fire crushed into a wound. I have spoken to you before of charcoal's real uses, for the air and for cooling, and those are true. But a wound is not the place for it. Homemade and packed into raw flesh, it only fouls what you are trying to keep clean. And never, this is an old and terrible one, never use the dung of any animal on a wound, fresh or dried or burnt, no matter who tells you their grandmother swore by it. It is among the very worst things you could do, for it is rich with exactly the rot that lockjaw and gangrene are born from. The old practices that did these things did not know what we know now. We do know, so we do not. And here is the larger rule that holds all the warnings together, the one to keep when you have forgotten the rest. If it is dirty, it does not go in the wound. If you would not put it in your clean eye, do not put it in your open flesh. The body is asking only to be kept clean while it heals itself. Help it stay clean. Do not bring it the dirt. Now the harder truth. The one the miracle sellers will never tell you. When to stop trusting any of this and go and find a doctor. Today, without arguing with yourself. All that I have given you is for small things. The shallow cut, the scrape, the little burn, the sting. The body heals this, and these remedies help it heal them clean. But some wounds are beyond all of it, and the wisdom is in knowing which. If a wound is deep or wide or gaping so the edges will not meet, it may need stitching, and that cannot wait, and no salve replaces it. If it is a bite from an animal or a person, you go, bites drive field deep where no surface remedy reaches, and a wild animal's bite can carry a death that is certain once it takes hold and preventable before. If you were caught by something rusted or dirty and you do not know that your protection against lockjaw is current, you go, because a simple injection stands between you and a terrible death. If a wound turns red and the redness spreads, if it grows hot, badly swollen, whipstick fluid, or if you begin to run a fever, that is the infection moving beyond the wound into the body, and it can reach the blood and kill, and it needs real medicine fast, not another dressing. And if you are one whose flesh heals poorly already, the sugar sickness in the feet is the one I mean. You do not treat your own wounds at home at all. Those go to trained hands every single time, for they turn dangerous with frightening speed. The honest healer is the one who tells you where the medicine ends. I am telling you, past that line, the kindest thing the old knowledge can do is send you quickly to the new. Let me say the part that is larger than any jar or salve. People love to ask why, if these simple things work, they are not sold and shouted from every shelf. And the foolish answer is that someone is hiding them. I do not believe that, and I will not tell it to you. The true answer is quieter and sharper. Honey, sugar, the resin of a tree, the leaf underfoot. No one can own these. No one can put a patent on a thing the bees have made since before there were people, or on the weed in the path. And the thing no one can own is a thing no one grows rich selling, so no one pays to put its name on the bright screen or to teach it to the doctors. The tube of cream can be owned and sold to you again each time it runs dry, and so there is money to make its name known everywhere. The honey just sits in the jar, working as it always has, with no owner to speak for it. It is not hidden, it is only quiet, and quiet is simply what a free thing is, in a world where only the own things are given a voice. A person who knows the few real things that heal a small wound, and knows, just as surely, the dirty things that must never touch one, and the deep wound that must go straight to a doctor, is a person less afraid, harder to frighten, and far harder to sell to. That is the whole of it. That is what my people kept, not because we were wiser than you, but because the clinic was far and the knowing was the difference between burying a child and watching him run again. What you keep because you must is what turns out, in the end, to serve you best. So here is what I want you to actually carry away. Keep a jar of raw honey and a clean cloth where you keep your bandages. And the next small clean cut or scrape, wash it well with clean water, spread the honey, cover it, change it daily. Keep the sugar in mind for the wound that weeps too much for honey, worked with clean fat into a paste. Learn the kujelt plant and the broadweed by your own door, so you know your medicine on site. And if you have the forest near you, learn to gather the resin and melt the simple salve, because it is good and it keeps. But hold the warnings above all the remedies. Clean water first and always. Nothing dirty ever goes into a wound. Not mud, not ash, not dung, not the dust of the floor. And the deep wound, the bite, the rusty cut, the wound gone red and hot and feverish, the poor healing foot. Those go to a doctor, fast, while the remedies wait for the small hurts they were always meant for. Then tell me below, what land are you in, and what did the people you come from put on a wound? Every people has its own, some of it good, I would wager, and some of it the very things I warned you never to do. And I would like to hear both, because that is how the good is kept and the dangerous is named. I read what you send. And next time, since we have spoken of healing the skin, I will show you what my grandmother kept for the burns of the cooking fire. The plant, what is truly in it. And, as today, the burn it soothes and the burn that must never be touched at home. It follows straight from this. Until then, clean first, keep the dirt out, trust a few real things, and respect the line where the old medicine ends and the doctor begins. Because knowing that line is itself the oldest wisdom there is.